What is the deal, beautiful people? My name is Ramon. Welcome to the channel. Around here, we talk about any and everything photography. Today's topic is my journey into becoming a pro photographer. I decided to just dive in, and I'd like to share that experience with you guys.
1, 2, get down.
I finally made the decision to, let's call it, cash in on countless hours behind the camera, be it street photography, portrait photography, cityscapes, landscapes, whatever it was, just getting to learn the camera and really getting to be out and about and meeting people and networking with people and interacting with people in relations to a camera. I decided to take that all and take a crack at becoming a professional photographer. And it's been quite a journey. Not to the tune of what you'd expect. It's been a quite pleasing journey, but also a really challenging one, a very difficult one, and a very rewarding one as well. But I think above all, once I was able to shake the the feeling of imposter syndrome looming over my skill set, I would say it was a straightforward road, right? So it was a lot of getting out of my head and trying not to give in to the part of me that wants to convince myself that I can't do it, that I'm not worthy, or my work is not good enough, or what have you. So here's a few points I'd like to share along that journey. Niching down. Niching down is something that you probably heard of in so many different aspects, and be it social media, be it professional work, be it creativity, or even in a career perspective. Niching down is something that's I think it has some value, and I think it really depends on the bandwidth of the person and the context of when you can or cannot niche down. But niching down was, I think, an important piece to the offering that I fine-tuned today as a professional photographer. Ultimately, I landed on event photography as my main niche, but I still do elopement / engagement, and I still do some portraiture. So me personally, I prefer event photography. It's kind of where I've hit my stride. It's kind of where I'm most comfortable. It's kind of where I can stand out the most, which then in terms means offering my clients a better value and ultimately be more competitive against my peers in that world. But when I first started, niching down was a very difficult thing to do, because the mindset of an amateur professional photographer, I don't even know if those two can coincide. The mindset here is really, I got this camera, I got this gear, I got this skill, this know-how about so many different parts of photography. Whoever needs me, and for whatever it is, I'm happy to take their money and deliver a product. It sounds good in theory, but there's so many different caveats to really being that ambiguous with your business direction. For me, number one was when someone came to my website, I felt it, and I could only imagine how other people perceived it. I felt like I was a little bit all over the place. It was event stuff, it was portrait stuff, it was engagement stuff, fashion portraits, editorial portraits, studio portraits. It gave me some anxiety as to how do I sell a service to someone who's looking for just this one thing if I haven't solidified in myself all the minute details and nuances around that one thing. I felt like I wasn't giving any one thing really my all. And I when I realized it, I started to dial it back a bit. So as I said earlier, I'm probably, let's call it 80% event photography, right? And what that does is it allows me to really hone my skill. It allows me to be super efficient at event photography. It allows me, when I'm in front of a client and we're discussing details or discussing a proposal, you know, I am so dialed in to event photography that the questions I ask, the questions I answer, the way I can shape and mold that conversation for that client is it's just so much of a more deliberate and a better experience, I think. Right now, it doesn't mean my portrait stuff is any less impactful. It's just, you know, I've found a lot of success in the event world, and I think that's kind of where I want to be for some time. And when I say finding success, it's not about gaining the clients, or not only, I should say, about gaining the clients. It's not about getting the paycheck. It's about adding value to that world. It's about over and going above and beyond and delivering for the client in that world. And I think it's only when you hyper focus on something that you can hit that level of achievement. So yeah, niching down is something that's very important, and it's not something that you should lose sleep over, but it is something that you should keep in the back of your mind as you're developing your photography business, as you are becoming, you know, your identity as a professional photographer is unfolding. I think it's something to keep in mind. And if you really sort of dissect that context, when you start to look at a lot of famous photographers in any genre, you kind of see that they really do niche down, right? So there really is something to it. And again, it's something to keep in the back. It's something to hand off from the more amateur self to the more intermediate self to the more professional self. As you start to move towards those gradients, I think niching down should sort of catch you as you progress along that, if that makes sense. A bit of housekeeping before we proceed. Thank you for stopping by and checking out the video. If you like what you see so far, hit that like button. I greatly appreciate it. If you so choose, hit the channel, search for some of my older videos. I've got a lot more content to come. I'm actually getting back into the swing right now. So, and if you like what you see as a whole, I would love it if you would subscribe and join the community. But I have a question for you. Are any of you out there thinking about becoming a professional photographer? Why only thinking? Why not doing, right? Like, what are your challenges? What are your fears? What are your thoughts? I would love for you to voice that in the comment section down below, and let's continue the conversation. Despite everything about becoming a professional photographer, you know, learning my camera to a way that allows me to deliver a professional product, learning how to speak to clients and potential clients, learning how to shape my website, my portfolio in a way that really speaks to who I am and what I do and what I offer. Despite all these things, there's one main lesson that I learned as a professional photographer. And it continues to amaze me that this is how things work. You know, it's not about the quality of your photos. It's more so about your business acumen. It's It's really running a business. And this was the interesting part for me to discover along the journey, because I thought that because I took the time to learn the camera and do all of these things around photography proper, that I would have a much easier time transitioning into becoming a professional photographer. I thought I was ready. I got it. I know my camera. I know my angles. I know my lighting. I know my composition. Let's get this money. Yeah, no, it's at the end of the day, once you decide to become a business person, a businesswoman, whatever it is, business is now number one. And I kept running across this number. Being a business photographer is 80% business, 20% photography. When I saw that number at first, it was like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't get it, right? And the more, almost seemingly as a month by month and interaction by interaction, the more I progressed in my business, the more it made sense. And I kept hearing until one day it just clicked, and you have to understand that there are some very, very real fundamentals to business that you need to learn. And let's be clear, I'm still learning them. Not only am I still learning them, I'm still discovering them. To the tune where sometimes I wonder, like, should I just go and take some college classes in business and really arm myself and better equip myself to be more successful? That's one way. Another way is watching a crap ton of seminars and workshops. I quite like film flash photography. Ty Turner, I believe is his name. I'm like addicted to that YouTube channel, and I'm quite considering buying a lot of his courses because there is a lot of value in understanding the business part of it. And I like to use this analogy when this conversation comes up, right? There are, and this is fact, or there is a restaurant in your town that you know of that's just trash. And when you look at the Google rating, the Yelp rating, whatever it is, they've got a 2 out of 5, and they've got so many negative reviews. But every time you drive by, there's still people there. And this is something that's so interesting to understand. It doesn't matter how trash the food is, how trash the experience is, it's still a successful business. They are still open today. When you drive by, there's still people in that restaurant. Even though it behooves you, they are still turning a profit, or one would assume, right? Keep that in mind. And I drive that home to myself. It doesn't matter how dope these photos are. It doesn't matter how great of an experience I deliver to the client. I still have to run a business. And this means being able to understand when my pricing needs to be raised. It needs to being able for me to understand what I need to be recharging my client. I need to understand my operation costs and like there's all these things about it that I'm like, now I'm obsessing over. Before I didn't, because when I first started, I'll do that for you for $300. Right? Like, what about my Adobe subscription? What about how I store the photos? What about my PicTime subscription? How am I recharging these things? What about my Envato Elements subscription that I'm using for marketing? Like, what about all these things? How much is my website costing? I can't ignore that. And if I do ignore that, then I'm doing my business a disservice, right? So yeah, the journey to becoming a professional photographer is, I think it's a dynamic one. It's one that's ever changing. It's not one that, it's a very fluid one. It's about being pulled in the direction and adjusting to market changes, market pricing, what clients are looking for, what client needs are. Like today, on my list of things to do, now that I have my brand new camera, My list of things to do is offer hybrid shooting at my events, right? So today I'm only, I have my event prices and I'm very comfortable with that. I'm very comfortable with the product that I deliver, but there are more than a few jobs that I've had to turn down because I don't shoot video, right? Am I looking to bring a whole videographer into the scope? No. Am I looking to become a videographer? Not right now, but it doesn't mean that I can't figure out the craft of hybrid shooting and offer it as an add-on to my event photography packages, right? So I'm investigating that. And what that means is this video is shot in S-Log 3. So now I've got to learn how to color grade. And by the way, how do you like the color grading in this video? I'm curious to see your thoughts, right? I've got to learn that. I've got to learn techniques of how to operate a camera in video with just hand holding, right? I need to learn these things. I need to learn the composition of video. I need to learn how long to hold the shot. You know, that 10-second rule of holding the shot. I need to think in my head, what's the balance of hybrid? So I'm going to capture the birthday girl cutting the cake, but then how do I make sure I get that image and then flip the camera over to video and also get that footage? So it's an ever learning process, and it's about not learning, or it's learning not to sink into my comfort hole, but to recognize when the market and my client is always asking of me. What they are asking is ever evolving, and how do I meet that? But all in all, I have been enjoying the journey. It's quite a difficult one, especially having a full-time career in the IT world as well. I feel like I'm always working, but I think it'll pay off, because as I come to the end of my IT career and when I'm ready to retire, I would love to be able to have a business on my own that I can fall back on, right? So that's kind of the goal going forward. But yeah, I quite enjoy it. I quite love it. And it's very rewarding to be able to cash in on thousands of hours behind the camera and so many different projects and things achieved and things failed. And it's nice to be able to cash in and put that experience and know-how into a business and watch it become something day by day. I think it's dope. Thank you for checking out the video. Thank you for stopping by the channel. Hopefully you think about becoming a full-time member of this community. Again, my name is Ramon. I'm out of here. Peace.